How's this look?
Carl dangles the lure in front of himself, bouncing it around. Flynn squints at it incredulously. I'm pretty sure his muzzle would be hanging open if he didn't have a toothpick in his mouth.
Jesus fucking Christ, Carl, what is that? What?
Carl has tied the spinner in a giant ugly knot, the string sticking out in every which way.
This is why I told you to fucking wait.
I guess Carl had gotten impatient and decided to tie his own lure, while Flynn helped me with mine. Flynn takes out a knife from his pocket and takes the spinner from Carl, scowling.
I'd throw this away if I didn't have so fucking few of them. What's wrong with you, Carl?
Carl shoves his paws into his pockets as he watches Flynn struggle with getting the knot fixed.
I don't see what the big deal is. It's attached, isn't it?
He looks at me and grins, shrugging his shoulders. I shrug back.
You made it so fucking big, it's not gonna spin right.
Flynn's muttering angrily under his breath, squeezing his forearms to his chest as he tries to keep his fingers steady. Carl rolls his eyes and looks over at me and grins.
Why we gotta fish with these when we got an otter with us?
I'm willing.
That's not the fucking point.
Ugh. Flynn almost growls, prodding and poking at the messy knot.
It's about relaxing. And how's Chase can relax swimming around the whole time?
He finally seems to get a handle on the mess and starts tucking out line.
And how am I gonna relax with you fucking up everything?
The line finally drops away from the spinner.
That's what I get for bringing a pothead along. Hey, I'm straight right now.
Flynn snickers.
You sure about that?
Carl rolls his eyes again.
Ask Chase.
I sit on a rock as I slowly reel in my line, watching my spinner glisten under the water. Why are you asking me?
You have... what's it called? Gaydar.
Isn't the idea that everyone has it? He doesn't respond as Flynn starts showing him how to actually tie the line. I come up empty and cast the line out again, listening to the clicking whirl of the reel before the spinner lands with a plop in the middle of the pond. I was wondering where Flynn would go to fish since he wouldn't go to Emma, obviously. Turns out he and Leo found this pond 20 minutes outside of town, deep in the wilderness. Unsurprisingly, no one comes here, which is why Flynn says the fishing is good. There definitely is something calming about being in the middle of nowhere, especially with the repetitive motions of fishing to keep you occupied. Finally, Flynn finishes showing Carl how to cast, and the ram launches the spinner out, almost all the way to the other side of the pond.
Careful, you idiot! If you get it snagged at the other end, I'll whoop your ass. Oh, lay off, Flynn.
Carl reels in fast and casts out again, making a pew sound as he does. Flynn sighs before walking up next to me, watching as I reel in much slower. I feel a little self-conscious with the way he stands over me, worried I'm doing something wrong. Sure enough, he steps forward, his chest up against my back as he grips the pole.
Grab it above the reel post. Here.
He holds the rod, then grabs my paw and slides it up the pole.
That way, you can really grip it when you catch something.
He's right up against my back, arms wrapped around me. I swallow and try to focus on the pole. All right. I hear him give a low chuckle in his throat and I glare. Of course, he knows what he's doing right now. With my paws in the pole, he's probably rubbing in what he said yesterday. I decide to respond by sliding my tail up the inside of his leg, and I feel him shift against me, his circle turning into a grunt of surprise.
What the hell are you guys doing?
Flynn lets go of the pole and steps back as Carl watches us, his face screwed up in exaggerated disgust.
Showing him how to fish. Now it's your turn, fatty.
Carl pauses on his reeling.
It's not like we haven't done this before. Plus, I don't know if I want to feel your cloaca on my ass. Too bad.
I focus back on fishing, still feeling a little warm from the close encounter I just had with Flynn. I'm a little angry that he'd try that, especially so soon after what had happened. I try to focus back on how relaxing the motions are, sweeping the lake clockwise as I cast out again and again. If I really did want to catch a fish, though, I would be swimming in the water right now. It isn't hard to do. I've done it several times when I was younger in the reservoir. Of course, that's less relaxing since you have to actively search for the fish, rather than just sit placidly until one bites your lure. I've never killed one before, though.
Careful, Carl!
I wince and look to the side, seeing Flynn covering his head and ducking as Carl's lure bounces and swings around above him.
You didn't let go of the fucking button!
Carl shrugs and starts to swing his pole around, trying to unwrap the line from his pole.
Well, if you weren't right up against my tail, you wouldn't have to worry about that. I'm trying to show you. Pew!
Carl launches his lure over the pond so far that it almost lands on the opposite bank. It does, however, wrap tightly around a branch sticking up from a fallen log in the shallows.
Fucking believable. Oh, shit.
He starts tugging and pulling, trying to get it untangled from the log.
No, stop. You're gonna have to walk around the edge and get it. What? There's fucking cacti on the edges. No way in hell. Too bad. That's one of my last fucking lures. But, come on.
Carl's shoulders slump as he looks out across the pond. I sigh and set down my pole and start stripping my shirt off, followed by pants. After I pause, I decide to take off my boxers too. It's not like Jenna's here. It takes them a while to stop arguing, now about the plural form of cactus, and realize that I'm now nude.
Chase?
I'll get the damn lure. Just stop arguing.
Heh. Just wanted an excuse to get a little striptease, huh?
Shut up. We've all seen each other naked. I do try to angle my hips away so they can't see my balls and cock, which is hard to do considering that I've got a pretty steep bank to wobble over. I manage it though, and pretty soon I'm sludging through thick mud.
Careful, I don't know what the fuck's in there.
Didn't you say no one comes here? I don't get his response because I dive in right after that, the familiar feeling of water closing up around me, cutting off air and sound. Again, it's a huge relief to be back in the water, and I drift towards the bottom. It's not deep at all, and the water here has a slimy feel that I don't like. Still, It's better than nothing, and I undulate slowly across the pond. It doesn't take long to reach the log, as it's only about 30 feet away. I have to bob a few times to the surface to look around, though, since the water is too murky to see through. I'm actually kinda starting to regret doing this. I try to remember if I have any cuts or sores I'm gonna have to douse in peroxide later. That's when one of my paws bumps the log and I bob back up to the surface, wiping a paw across my eyes. I see the line glinting above me, some drops of pond water clinging to it. I reach up and grasp it between my index and thumb and follow it to the branch. I feel Carl give a few tugs.
Hey, Chase! Flynn says there's leeches in the pond.
I hear a loud smack followed by a yelp.
Don't fucking yank it around. You want to snag his eyeball?
I ignore them as I search for the lure. I continue to follow the line until I lean over the log and spot the spinner, shimmering in the sunlight. The hook wedged into the soft, wet wood. It comes out easily and I carefully lift it, making sure I'm out of the way of the hook in case Carl decides to yank the line again. When I turn around, I'm glad to see that Flynn's got the pole now. I hold up the lure to show him and let it drop back into the water, Flynn slowly starting to reel it back in. I go back in, slowly swimming back to the opposite bank. It's at that point that I see a silver flash to the right of my field of vision. I look over and see a fish swimming lazily over some plant life on the bottom of the pond. I pause and would have smiled if my mouth wasn't going to fill with pond water. It would be funny, after all this time with their lures and their poles, for me to just pop out of the water, fish and paw. I swim over to it slowly, lingering to the side so I won't block the sunlight before diving down and snatching it up. I latch in my paws to keep it from escaping as I give a little wiggle of delight. It's been a long time since I've done this, but it looks like I've still got it. I turn and start swimming back to Flynn and Carl, and that's when I suddenly feel like I'm being watched. It's not the typical feeling, though. This is much more intense. I pause and look back over my shoulder, then forward again. It's pointless because everything's cloudy. I can't see more than 10 feet. I've sunk down to the bottom of the pond, both of my feet resting in the deep muck as I crouch, trying to figure out where the feeling is coming from. It doesn't help that my head is starting to buzz, a tone building in my head that sounds like an orchestra tuning. I haven't been down that long. I shouldn't be running out of air. Of course, I should just swim up to the surface where it's bright and safe. But I don't, because this feels too familiar. I think back to when I was 12, playing in the abandoned school with Carl. I was hiding from him in a second-floor classroom when I felt this exact feeling. Intense, almost physical, like a hand was grabbing into the back of my neck. I look around again, then finally look down at the fish in my paws. And now, I know where it's coming from. Before I know it, I'm whipping upwards, breaking through the surface in less than a second and swimming towards my friends. I stumble up onto the bank, splashing water everywhere as I do. I'm not holding the fish anymore.
What the fuck were you doing?
I try to steady my breathing, hoping they'll just think it's because I was down so long, rather than me being freaked the fuck out. Carl's laughing next to Flynn as I start pressing my paws down on my body, trying to speed up the drying process. What? Carl shrugs, but Flynn smacks him upside the head again.
He pissed in the water while you were under.
Great. Honestly, I don't really care right now.
I wouldn't worry about it. You didn't come up near it. And there's probably worse in there anyway. Speaking of which, why don't you go further up the stream and wash up? I don't want you bringing pond shit into my truck.
Okay. I sigh and pick up my clothes, just glad that they seemingly haven't noticed anything's off. Luckily for me, Flynn parked right next to the stream, so it's easy to find. It's freezing cold, though, compared to the pond, so I get washed up quickly. I gasp as I splash the water over my body, shivering before I stand back and start squeezing the water out of my fur again.
Everything okay?
I jump and look back. Flynn's leaning against his truck, arms folded, watching me. I blush. It was easier to be naked in front of the two of them, but for some reason, it just being Flynn makes it way more embarrassing. I turn back around, pressing my tail harder against my ass as I wave my arms up and down, trying to dry off. Yeah. Come for a show?
Yeah. Always wanted to see the naked otter mimicking a bird.
Shut up, I'm trying to dry off. Flynn doesn't say anything, so I just turn around, not even bothering to cover up, paws on my hips. Okay, seriously, you just come here to see me naked? He hasn't moved at all, but he cracks a smile.
Maybe.
I don't let that trip me up, and instead thrust my hips out, legs spread. Well, there you go.
I got a towel in my truck.
He's still smiling, and his eyes definitely aren't on mine. Flynn has flirted with me before, even while I was dating Leo. I vaguely remember there was some altercations between the two. I make my way towards the truck, again trying to angle my hips away from him. You really know how to creep a guy out. I lift up the handle, but the door doesn't open. Hey, unlock the... Something shoves hard into the small of my back, and I'm thrown forward to land with a wet splat against the hot metal of Flynn's truck. What the hell? Something tall, skinny, and muscular pushes up against my back. Chills run down my spine as Flynn's muzzle snuffles into my ear, a low growling in his voice.
You really think you can just tease me like that and get away with it?
His paws slide down my body, between the car and my stomach before moving up my chest. I'm frozen that way, paws against the passenger window as I stare in shock through it at the truck's steering wheel, though I'm not really seeing it. There's a pause, and I think it's because he's waiting for my response to see if I tell him to stop or not. I don't, though, and lean my head back into his neck, feeling my entire body break out into goosebumps as he rubs at my chest.
You like that, don't you?
I respond with a gasp as his sharp teeth graze across one of my stubby ears, his hot breath sending another wave of chills over my skin. His hands slide back down, slowly feeling out my body.
Acting like a little slut. You didn't think this was gonna happen?
I stiffen a little under the remark and lift my tail up again between his legs. You're one to fucking talk. I'm not completely sure about what's going on, if this is a spur-of-the-moment thing or if he's just trying to prove a point. What I do know is that we both want it. Flynn likes being in charge. So, to fuck with it even more, we're going to switch positions. Aggressive as Flynn can be, I know he's got a soft side. On top of that, he caught me off guard, and that's annoying. For a moment, Flynn pauses again, as if he's distracted by something, but I don't give him time to tell me what it is. Using my tail, it coils to his thigh and I drag the reptile around, ending his spin with his back thumping into his truck. My paws slip into his open shirt, pinning either side of the button up to his arms. He grunts, a smirk on his muzzle as he leers at me.
Well, well. There's a spicy otter I used to know. Forgot how damn strong otter tails can be.
A grin of my own works across my muzzle. And I forgot how soft scales can be. I bring my snout to his stomach and firmly nuzzle into the patch of orange scales there. Flynn's abs flex for a moment, but then relax as I work my broad nose in. His skin is a little coarse, but underneath it is soft and warm. It had always been Flynn's soft spot. Not just physically. It's also a really sensitive spot for him. I found this out years ago when I first tickled him. And it's evident in the little lizard moan that slips out of his muzzle.
Oh, cheap move, Chase. Fucking otters and their wet, cold-ass noses.
Yeah, and you love it, Flynn. I'm not exactly sure what's gotten into me. It's like I'm a teenager again with the way I'm acting. I can see Flynn's surprise, too, but he doesn't say anything. At this point, his button-up has slipped over his shoulders, revealing more of his taut, lively form. His dark scales and orange scales both glisten in the desert sun. Flynn's biceps flex as he struggles with my hold, which must have been an act because he sure as hell couldn't have broken the pen if he tried. His playful struggling only gets me more excited. My sheath is filling rapidly now, and I can see his pants are fully tinted. He sighs breathily and relents as I keep my hold firm, continuing to tease his belly. It's like a leather pillow, you know? Supple. Flynn's face flushes as I bring my paws to his waist, pressing him to his truck, caressing his torso. My paws glide over his chest before sliding down his sides, then around his waist to grope his ass.
Fuck. You know, I don't let just anybody touch me like this.
I seriously doubt that. A little shiver runs through the lizard. Then he leans in, free from my grasp, nibbling breathily into my ear, and I shiver a bit in return. Flynn slouches down for better leverage, his paws wrapping around the small of my back. I take advantage of him being at my height level and glide my wet tongue over the slick scales of his neck. His whole body gives a weird little jump, his hand snapping up to grab my arms, almost painfully, but he doesn't push me away. I give a little grunt of annoyance and shrug off his hands, bringing my own paws back to his front. Dragging my blunt claws across his stomach, I trail them to around his neck, scritching into his scales. Flynn rasps, letting out another reptilian moan. I can't help but giggle, pressing my body into the euphoric lizard. He tilts his head back, eyes half-lidded, and maw agape, his tongue flicking at the air. For a moment, I realize exactly what I'm doing. Making out with my childhood friend. Strange as it seems.
It's sexy as hell.
A few years ago, there was no way I'd be okay with this. I guess the time apart, along with being pent up for a few days, helped to spur me on. I'm nearly fully out of my sheath at this point, my cock pressing into his very tinted pants crotch. He pulls me in, and I undulate against him, grinding into his crotch with my own. Riding up the reptile's spasms, I smooth my paw pads down his back, dripping below his pants belt line under his boxer briefs. Again, I grab 2 pawfuls of naked tequila ass, clasping Flynn's butt on either side of his short, fat tail.
God damn it, Chase. Ugh. If I had known you're still. Oh!
I groped the lizard, cutting him off. Sorry. Like that face you made. Go on.
Would have made a move sooner, is all.
I slide my paws around his waist, towards the front, and brush up against something very hot and solid. I grin, feeling mischievous. Wrapping my paw around Flynn's rock-solid member, I give a brisk, smooth pump. He moans, practically melting over me now, his muzzle in the crook of my neck, and I think I feel him drooling down my back?
Shit. You must have been a handful for Wolfie Boy. He's not the type to easily submit.
Flynn's right. Leo was a stubborn boyfriend, in and out of the bedroom. With a lot of coaxing, I could eventually get him to see things my way, but that hardly ever happened. I had a lot more energy as a teenager, more zest, I guess. It's hard to explain, but over the years, I've just become more, well, exactly what Flynn's accused me of being. Personally, I just chalk it up to growing up. But right now, I do sort of feel like my old self, and that's kind of incredible. Hey, I'm a versatile otter. I like to trade off. I grin as Flynn guides my paws in his briefs, returning a smirk. I think at this point, isn't he? He's going to the briefs. Either wants you to push his pants down or grope him some more. At this point, he's probably hoping for a quickie. So let's see if we can make that happen. For old
Flynny Boy.
Push his pants down. I'm about to pull my paws out of Flynn's grasp when he steps back. He lets go of my wrists, the expression on his face strange again. He's looking for something. I'm confused, still sort of slack-jawed as I stare back at him. What? Slowly, his expression becomes more resolute, almost dark as he steps back further away from me, folding his arms.
Nothing. Just realized that Carl could see us. We shouldn't have done this here.
Huh? He's acting like I started this. I'm feeling self-conscious now that he's clearly not interested in continuing. I turn away, slightly, one paw against the car as I angle my body so he can't see my dick anymore. I look back over my shoulder at him, feeling myself getting angrier. Hey, you're the one! But he's already turned around and heading back towards the pond. I watch him go, feeling bewildered and maybe even a little hurt. Asshole? I mutter it under my breath. Did he stop because he decided I wasn't up to his standards? That idea hurts even more because I imagine those are pretty low. I stand there for a while longer, feeling like a complete idiot before finally heading back to the stream. I've picked up all kinds of shit from smearing my body against his dirty truck. I'll be sure not to let him take advantage of me so easily again. We're headed down Elizabeth Street after dropping Carl off, the drive only a little awkward. Flynn's really good at acting like nothing's wrong when he wants to, and I'm totally fine with that right now. That's when I see a set of familiar ears through the window of the convenience store. Hey, is that TJ? Flynn ducks his head to look out my window.
Looks like it.
He flips a U-turn, which isn't a big deal since no one's on the road, and pulls up into the parking lot. What are you doing?
Stopping by to say hi?
Oh. Okay. I guess I need to buy some stuff anyway. I look out the window so Flynn can't see the look on my face. I already know that this is a bad idea. TJ's at the register, and his ears flick in our direction before he turns to see us. At first he smiles when he sees me, but then his ears fall flat as he sees Flynn come in behind me. Jenna pokes her head from behind TJ, and now I know this is a really bad idea. They're both a little dirty, and TJ has his backpack on. I wave at them to let them know I've seen them before moving towards the back of the store. I need to get some bottled water since I don't really like drinking from the faucet in the motel. I hear Flynn say something as he walks up to them, and I silently hope that by the time I get back everything will be magically resolved. Because the old corner market closed, this is the only place where you can buy food, aside from the diner. Looking around at the selection, I can see why Flynn takes the 30-minute drive to Peyton to get his food. I grab a few water bottles and head back to the front. My hopes of a resolution are dashed as I see the awkward situation unfolding in front of me. TJ's standing on the other side of Jenna now, keeping her between him and Flynn. No one's saying anything as I get to the register, the air tense and TJ fidgeting with his facial fur. As I pull out my wallet, I look over at Jenna. Hey, how was your hike? Fine. Hot. Ah. A red fox I don't recognize takes the $2 I hand to him. I see Flynn shift around next to me, then I hear him take in a breath.
Hey, Tej, did you...
Hey, Flynn, did you forget what happened yesterday? I cringe. Jenna's tone is sharp, and now I just wish I could turn invisible.
Huh?
Can't you tell he doesn't want to talk to you? Flynn doesn't say anything. The tension is so thick in the air, I feel like I'm back in the slimy pond. The cashier fox pauses in handing me my change, staring at Flynn and Jenna. Thanks. I almost yell as I reach out for the money, as if the volume of my voice will make everyone forget and provide Flynn the opportunity to escape. It doesn't work. We're not kids anymore, Flynn. You can't just treat us like crap and expect us to act like it's okay when you decide we're worth talking to again. Flynn's hunched forward, staring off to the side towards the back of the store. TJ suddenly heads for the door, and I can see his face twitching as he passes me. Jenna follows him, past Flynn, before turning around as she reaches the door. If you want to talk to us again, then you're going to have to act like an adult and apologize. Otherwise, later. She exits, leaving us in the most awkward, painful silence I've ever heard in my life. The clerk openly stares at Flynn. I fumble with the change in my wallet, trying to pretend like nothing happened. Do you wanna? Flynn turns and walks out the door. I watch him get in his truck, then pull out, his face expressionless. For a while, I stare at the empty parking space as I slowly shove my wallet into my back pocket. The clerk, without anyone else to stare at, is now staring at me. Annoyed, I look right at him. What? He stares back at me, expression vacant. Huh? He's young, but the patchy fur and missing teeth and the look in his eyes tells me everything I need to know. I suddenly realize where I am, and where I come from, and this alone quashes all the good feelings I have left of the day. This fox in front of me practically embodies all the problems with this small town. I feel such a bizarre, intense wave of hatred for him that I have to leave the store. Pressing the 2 water bottles against my chest with one arm, I shove my free paw into my pocket, staring at the ground as I walk back to the hotel. I'm sick of him thinking he can do whatever he wants without any sort of consequence. Jenna rustles around in a drawer before using her hip to close it with a snap as she turns to me. I'll apologize to him once he apologizes for ruining the trip. I open my mouth, then close it again. Of course, asking Jenna to make up with Flynn is a lost cause. It's like asking Carl to take off his beanie. Sitting on the bed, I glance at the bedroom door. The faint sounds of TJ's shower coming from within. I hear Jenna sigh before the bed wobbles as she takes a seat next to me. I'd probably feel bad if he hadn't fucked everything up already. I rub the back of my neck with my hand, trying to think of something I can say to convince her. It's just that Flynn is always like that. He doesn't mean anything bad. Yeah, well, I'm sick of having to deal with it. He needs to learn how not to talk like an asshole. This is one of the reasons why Flynn never fucks with Jenna, or really says anything to her at all. She's kind of exempt from the whole unspoken pact we made to just let Flynn's dickishness slide. Even sensitive TJ accepts it and takes the playful ribbing well enough. I hear the shower shut off, followed by the high-powered whoosh of the hotel's cheap dryer. Being a lynx, TJ probably had to stand in that thing for a good 10 minutes before he was even damp. We're adults now. If he wants to get anywhere in life, he needs to shape up. He's getting along all right. Jenna snorts. Yeah, if he's planning to stay here for the rest of his life. I mean, what's wrong with that? I can tell Jenna's giving me a look, but I don't give her the satisfaction of turning my head to see it. Seriously? Anyway, it's clearly a defense mechanism. He feels vulnerable without his "I'm an asshole" blanket. I mean, you're not a psychiatrist yet, Jenna. I'm not going to be a psychiatrist, but you don't need a psych degree to see it. I don't respond, not seeing the point in arguing about Flynn any further. Jenna stretches, then gets up to go over to her laptop on the small table while I lay back on the bed, closing my eyes. Absent-mindedly, I pull out my phone, discovering a text from Leo. I forgot to tell you that we're having a surprise party for Carl tomorrow. I frown and type out a quick response. You're telling us this now? It's not until next month. What's up? Jenna's looking up from her laptop at the expression on my face. Leo says we're having a surprise party for Carl tomorrow. Oh, yeah. You knew? Well, yeah, Leo told us on the drive back from the river. My phone buzzes again. Sorry, but we're going to the store tomorrow to get some presents, so don't worry about it. I frown. This is kind of weird. A whole month early? Jenna shrugs and looks back down at her laptop. Something to do, I guess. I guess. I type another response to Leo again. I have a lot to do tomorrow. I was planning to go get some footage in the morning. Leo's always been weird. Do you follow any of his accounts? He's always posting pics of his food and stuff. My phone buzzes again. I guess I can get the present for you, but you're definitely going to the party. And then we're going out to see a movie. I suppose that doesn't sound too bad as long as I'm able to get at least something done for the project. Something is still bothering me about the whole get-together, though. I can go to the party, but I might need to stay and do more project stuff. What about Flynn? I send that one with some hesitation, feeling like me and Leo are conspiring behind Flynn's back. Then I remember what I did behind Leo's back with Flynn and my toes curl reflexively in a cringe. Yeah, technically it's none of Leo's business what I do, but it doesn't change the feelings of wrongness I have about it. I toy with the idea of texting Flynn as well, but knowing him, he probably won't respond right now. I am sorry. To you, at least. I look up from my phone at Jenna, who's clacking busily away on her laptop. For what? Her typing pauses. Because pissing Flynn off like that is just going to make this an even shittier vacation. I sigh and look back down at my phone, waiting for Leo's response. Well, I don't know. I guess he needed to hear it from someone. My phone buzzes again. I had a talk with him. He's fine. I'm about to say something else to Jenna, but I can hear TJ starting to open the door, so I just shut my mouth and close my eyes again.
Wednesday.
So, that happened. Oh, Jenna and Flynn. Man, you know Flynn was going in there to pick another... pick a fight is the right word with TJ. But, I think the proper... I guess accost is a proper word. He was going in there to accost TJ and ended up being accosted by Jenna, who gave him a tongue lashing of epic proportions, despite her small stature. Petite, but vicious. That's be Jenna. So, yes. And we carried on pretty hard with Flynn. That was interesting. One thing I did notice was that during that whole scene at the lake, when Chase and Flynn are up against the truck, you can hear Chase's heartbeat beating in his chest. You can hear it. That thing is bumping. So that was really cool to actually hear, because I don't think I've ever gotten that far along with Flynn in that regard. Have we done that? I guess maybe it was because of the fact that it was with Finn that I was doing it. It's the only time. Maybe on my own, but that was so long ago, I forget. But yeah, wild. Of course, fucking Carl. Dude, Carl. That dude is like, he's a hazard to do stuff with. Especially fishing with sharp things. He's kind of like Link from Rhett and Link, Good Mythical Morning. Never give him sharp things. That's what Rhett says. Never give him sharp things. It's the unspoken rule. We don't give Link sharp things. It's like giving Carl anything sharp, pointy, dangerous, expensive. You just don't do it. Because he's either going to risk cutting you, stabbing you, or breaking this expensive thing. So I think it's one of those unspoken rules. Probably needs to be spoken. That would be a very spoken. As asked Jenna. I'd ask Jenna just to say it. She'd probably look at me and tell me to man up and say it myself, but she's just got more presence in the group. So I did just try all those things I thought about doing on Flynn's route. Trying the different foods and everything, ordering the same thing as him. And nothing changes. And I was right. If you choose to go back, you just resume the route with someone else. Or you get to pick another route. So, there's all that is. So, yeah, just wanted to say that. I'm sure everyone here who has played Echoes probably thought of the same thing. So it's a lot like texting Leo. Actually, is it? In Route 65, texting Leo? Because he does get back to you. Now I'm curious. Is this completely offset? I don't know. It probably doesn't. It probably doesn't change anything in the route that you eventually pick. So, but if it does, and I'd love to hear about it. So, hope you enjoyed Tuesday on Flynn's route. Days are going to get longer. And if you enjoyed, just let me know with a like, a comment, and a subscription if you're new here. And check out the other playlists I've done. And that I and my friends have done. And do you think there is an unspoken rule? You just don't give Carl sharp, pointy, expensive things? I think there should be. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. And thanks for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next part of Flynn's route. Until then, take care, everyone. Bye!